To input text, you have to create a composite shot. So you're going to come over here to New, Composite. Give this a title that you would know what it is. So it could be title of the film. It could be credits, whatever you decide to do. So I'm going to just call this title. This is the duration of it. So a title shouldn't be that long. I'm just going to make mine 10 seconds and hit OK. And then I'm going to change my view to compositing, my workspace view to compositing, just to make this a little easier to work with. So here are the layers within my composite shot. A composite shot is made of multiple layers, which comes in handy when you start to add a lot of effects. But right now I'm going to add a text layer. This is the width of it. So my project is a 720. So that's what I'm going to put in. Up here, I'm going to click on the A, and I'll put in my title. And then over here to the left, if I click on text, I'm going to be able to change the font and the sizing. Let's make this 100. I'm going to center it. I can change the color. So let's do this one. You can make it, well, that particular font only has regular, but there's some other options here. And I can leave it at that if that's what I want. But I can also add effects, and so this is something you can play around with. So let's say I want to add a gradient. I'm going to do a radial gradient. So I'm going to click, drag, and drop it onto my new text. And there's that effect. Over here under Controls, I can play around with that effect. So I'm going to pull this down. So here on Inner Radius, I can change how much it's filled. And so with the radial gradient, you can see it gradually gets darker and then fades out again. Here's my color. Here's my opacity. So I can change all of this and make adjustments to how it looks. That's the inner. Here's the outer. So I'm going to add a little more color to that so it doesn't fade out quite as much. I can adjust these numbers, which changes in my color. So you can just play around with all of that. Then under Transform, I'm going to set a scale. So first, actually, I'm going to, with my arrow, I'm going to center it for now. I may need to move it later, but for now I'm going to center it. Then under Scale, wherever this cursor mark is, I'm going to set the scale. Currently it's at 100, which is what I've set it at. All the stuff I've done so far is at 100. So I'm going to tell it to set my scale mark, and you'll see this little blue diamond show up. Then I'm going to move my cursor here to the very end. So at the end of 10 seconds, I'm going to tell it to scale at 150. And what this does is it automatically moves and enlarges my lettering to increase up to 150 towards within that 10 seconds. So when I hit play, it's going to automatically change the scale so it looks like my words are moving. And that's within that 10-second frame. Okay, so then I'm going to go back to my workspace of editing. And I'm still within my title composite shot, so I'm going to go into the editor, which is going to put me back where I'm used to seeing things. Okay, so then here's here's the entire composite shot I just made with all my layers. So I'm going to take this and I want to put it on top of my other pictures. And then I'll move this back here. So when I play this, you can see my words are moving. Now, I can't see that very well, so I may need to go back into my title shot, and maybe I want to move this up based on my picture, and I can't move it over too much because I scaled it, and my lettering may turn off. And I may need to go in and change my colors too, so I need to go back to my compositing workspace, and when this switches over, all of this here, I may need to adjust my colors. So let's see, I have a blue sky. Maybe if I make that yellow, and maybe this needs to be, I don't know, a little darker. So then when I go back to editor now, you can see that a little better. But let's also see what happens when I scale it, because I don't want it to come off the page. This yellow blends in a little bit with those lights, so I may need to go back and change it again. Anyway, I can always increase this picture so that my title stays with that one the whole time. Well, I'm going to have to move quite a few things here. So obviously you see that there's some pre-planning that really needs to get done here. I need to take this off. I'm going to hit Control and just click those buttons again to take it off completely, because I don't want it to fade right now. But this would require pre-planning, so this is something you should do first before you start editing your entire timeline, because now I've got my videos overlaid on top of each other here, so you may want to do all of this stuff first. There's no audio with my title though. So anyway, here's this. I can hit Control, make my little buttons here, and have this fade out along with this one. So that when it goes into this next picture, it's not that abrupt switch over. And then I'll line up my pieces. And then the next step for this project would be your audio.